Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bust channel, a Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and today I want to talk about Allen Robinson and Sammy Watkins because I addressed these two in a prior video, but pretty much like I knew, the Bear fandom would kind of fall into that same trap all fans do, which is grasping at straws, trying to run and get the first name we hear. Because so far, everywhere, the Twitter polls, internet chat, radio, TV, only thing I hear is, who do you want, Sammy Watkins or Allen Robinson? Who do you want, Sammy Watkins or Allen Robinson? Nobody talks about, will they fit the scheme? Are these type of players we want? Nobody's talking about how that will work with Trubisky. And most importantly, nobody's talking about how much value are these guys actually worth. Everyone's just assuming that because of last year and because of our roster, we got to go grab whoever name is at the top. And I think it's interesting because we'll sit here and ignore all the rest of the receivers. We go straight to the top of the list. There's a lot of fans who don't even know who these players are, even seen them play. But, oh, their name's on top of the list. We got to get them. And ignore the other receivers because we want the top guys. But then in the draft, you can't take a receiver at 8. That's too high for a receiver. They're not valuable enough. You could get receivers in any round. And so I'm like, you got to pick one. Because for me, if you listen to my draft stuff, you know that I feel receivers have become much like running backs in the fact that they are versatile throughout the rounds in which you can find one because receivers are asked to do a lot more different things than they used to be. You know, I've talked again and again about how receivers used to be one prototypical build, and now you got a number of different builds and receivers that can do different things depending on your offense. So the big body 50-50 guys, the red zone threats, the back shoulder fade guys, the prototypical burners, the smaller, quicker slot guys, all these different things. And so what that has done is created a place where you can get receivers throughout. And yes, some of the top dogs are top receivers that were drafted, but there's top dogs in the league that were low-round receivers all over the place. And there's teams that put together receiving cores that aren't any top dogs and they win. I mean, you look at the Eagles for anybody. I mean, because I won't say the Patriots because that's Tom Brady, but you look at the Eagles with Foles and with Wentz, and they both were able to use this receiving core effectively. Torrey Smith, nobody wanted. Good receiver, but nobody wanted. Alshon, we know exactly what he could bring. And then you had Nelson Aguilar, who people thought was a bust. And then Trey Burton, Zach Ertz always been reliable. But you just look at the core they put together, and you realize that it does not have to be these top flight receivers. That's the thing. That's the key part, is that people got to realize that there's rarely a time where a receiver makes a quarterback. Rarely a time. So those people that try to talk about Brady because he has this and that, that's not even a conversation. I won't get into it, but I think it's ridiculous because there's very few times where you ever see a receiver so good that they make the quarterback, where that's all they can do. Even if you want to say Matt Stafford, that was the clearest example you saw of a quarterback dependent on a receiver. And then what happened when Calvin left? Matt's continued to grow. He continued to soar. And everybody's like, oh, he's going to suck now that he have Calvin. No, you rarely can have one receiver or two receivers make the quarterback. It doesn't happen that way because the quarterback is going to have to make the receiver. And even if they're both average, you're still at a point where you can be effective because there's so many options in the receiving game. But there's never, I wouldn't say never, but there's rarely a point where this receiver is so dominant that he just made the quarterback look way better than he is. And so that's why I approach this with a confusion that everybody thinks, okay, whatever the list says, Allen Robinson and Sammy Watkins, we got to go get them. And then on top of that, you don't have Jarvis Landry anymore, which I'm grateful we don't, because the Browns went and traded for him, but people were on that too. And all these guys people have knocks on, and legitimate knocks. but people are ignoring them because they just say, oh, well, we got to get a receiver. We just have to. You don't just have to. It's the same thing. Like look at it like the draft. People act like free agency is different. Free agency is just like the draft. The class is not always going to be good. And so if I told you the Bears have to get Calvin Ridley at number 8, we have to. Even if we didn't have any other holes. If the only hole we had was receiver, we have to get Calvin Ridley at number 8. There's nobody that wants to trade back. We have to. No, you do not. Just because he's the best of a bad class does not mean you have to get them. Just because Watkins and Robinson are the top names on the NFL.com list does not mean you have to get them. This isn't a great class for free agent receivers. This isn't a great draft class for receivers. That doesn't mean there isn't talent there, but it all starts with what system you're running and what strengths does Trubisky have. Now, I have faith, hopefully, that the coaching staff and Ryan Pace look at it that way, because fans do not. Fans just think names are automatic production. That's not how it works. If you ever learn anything from me, understand 99% of the players in the NFL are scheme dependent. I talk about this every year. That means their production is going to depend on how they're being used. There are very few, 1% of players that can transcend scheme. I know we hear that a lot. It's not true. We've seen free agent bust after free agent bust. Sometimes because of the mental, they got money, they don't care. But it's mostly because people don't do well in situations where their skills don't match up. And so instead of talking about whose name at the top, let's pursue them, we need to be talking about which group is going to work the best together. So a lot of talk about Albert Wilson. I'm fine because Nagy knows him. If he wants to run similar stuff in Kansas City, then that's going to help with Albert Wilson. Is he a top flight anything? No. Will he mesh in? Yes. And then it's really about putting the pieces together around that. And so I don't want to hear, okay, these are the 2 top names, let's go get it. Everyone's just, oh, do you want Allen Robinson? Do you want Sammy? Now, I'm not saying I don't want either one or that they can't work. I'm just saying the conversation needs to be different. Because at the end of the day, maybe getting both is the decision, and we could get both. But we really got to start at a different place than, oh, those are the 2 top names. Because on top of that, we got money, but you want to talk about what's the value. And that's the problem with, we just got to go get somebody because we have to. So you want to throw top money at guys that don't deserve top money because they got lucky and they're the best receiver in a bad year. No, we can't do that. And so if you personally ask me, which wasn't the intent of this conversation, but I think you just look at it and say, they got the same issues we've been dealing with. And I hate to do this again. Actually, I don't. I love to do this. Cam Meredith is being disrespected. I'm sick of it. He's one of the people coming back. Most likely he's a restricted free agent. Most likely he's coming back. And I'm hearing people speculate on radio and whatnot that he might be the 4th receiver in the grand scheme of things. And I think it's ridiculous. And people blaming Pace because he got hurt or writing him off. He sucks because he got hurt. Are you kidding me? You don't suck because you get hurt. You don't become a bust because you get hurt. Getting hurt, that's part of the game. When he was healthy, we saw what Cam could do, especially coming from undrafted. Like, Cam put up a display that he can be a number 2, and I firmly believe it. And so while people are writing him off like he's not going to be here, that's ridiculous to me. And I hope Ryan Pace isn't that stupid. But with saying that, I'm saying that he's coming off of ACL, and he was out for the year. So was Allen Robinson. And I'm not saying that Allen Robinson and Cam are the same person. All I'm saying is that they have the same situation. So while people are discounting Cam and just giving Robinson a pass, it's a little silly. Now, I do think they have similar games. They're kind of big body style receivers. They aren't speed burners, more possession type, 50-50 type. But again, it's just the situation. And then I'm not saying Sammy's Kevin White. But when you're talking about what type of player they were coming out, Kevin White was pretty much a Sammy Watkins-like player, minus the route running. Sammy was a lot better at route running and has gotten a lot better. But again, you're talking about those freak athlete down the field guys. And so, and he has a lot of injuries now. Again, we don't know what Kevin White is. We have not ever seen him play. I'm just saying that it's a little silly that people are just kind of dismissing those things for one group and not the other. And Sammy's never been prolific when he was healthy. So I don't have an issue with Allen Robinson, Sammy. I know those guys. I know what they can bring. My thing is, again, top dogs or big fish in a little pond. And so I'm not looking to pay them a lot of money. And that's my issue. If they want to command money, fans and Ryan Pace need to be okay with letting them walk and finding solutions elsewhere and not thinking that we have to go get the top names to be good. And somebody said this and they always say it, and I agree to an extent. These people are free agents for a reason. Whatever that reason is, they're free agents. And so to sit here and act like we have to go chase those people, I think is the wrong approach. And I think we need to be a little more open-minded because free agency is that's every year people have that problem. Ooh, there's a big name that was good or might still be good, but in a completely different system, we got to go get that. Doesn't mean anything. And every year people talk about winning the free agency and losing the free agency. Then they get into the season and half the crap don't work out. And so people wonder why we can't keep reaching at straws. I think those two can be had at decent deals, but that's not people that we have to have, and those aren't people that we need to chase. We got to be patient. It'll be a better class next year, or it might be a better draft class next year. It all doesn't have to happen this off season. We're going to add pieces, but we don't have to chase things. All right, so that's my thoughts, though. I would like to hear what you guys think. Go down to the comments section. Let me know what you think. I know you guys probably want one of these people, but why? Let's get deeper than that. Are you okay if we pass on these two? Let me know. Thumbs up, subscribe, spread it around, and remember, stay up and bear down.